Hello Dr. Ashila. Today our group will be present about relationship between urinary system and the others organ system. The presenter are Muhammad Hanif Hakimi, Aina Sabrina, Nur Aisyah, Sarah Syafiqah and Siti Nur Alia. These are our 6 main ideas. The first one is about overview of the urinary system. Next is about the overview of the kidney. The third one are the related organ system. Fourth is about pathology caused by kidney failure. Next, we will explain about ways to keep our kidney healthy. And the last one is the conclusion of this topic. We move on to the overview of the urinary system. The urinary system consists of 2 kidneys, 2 ureters, 1 urinary bladder and also 1 urethra. What are the functions of kidneys? The kidneys filter blood of wastes and excrete them into a fluid called urine. Once it forms, ureters transport urine from kidney to the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder stores urine and expels it into urethra. Urethra will discharge urine from the body. The kidneys do the major work of the urinary system. Function of the kidneys include regulation of blood ionic composition, production of hormones, maintenance of blood osmolarity, regulation of blood volume, blood pH and blood pressure, excretion of wastes, and also regulation of blood glucose level.
For the overview of kidney, I'm going to mention some parts of kidney. First is renal medulla. Renal medulla contains the structure of the nephrons, which is responsible for maintaining the salt and water balance of the blood. Second is renal pelvis. Renal pelvis functions as a funnel for urine flowing to the ureter. Third is ureter. Ureter is where urine travels from the kidney to the bladder into thin tubes called urethras. Fourth is calyces. Calyces comprise of minor calyx and major calyx, which act as a reservoir for urine received from the collecting tubes. They also conduct urine to the upper ureter. Last is renal artery and renal vein. Renal artery carry blood from the heart to kidney. It supplies blood to the interior component of kidneys. Once the blood has been used in the kidney and depleted in oxygen, it will exit through the renal vein. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the relationship of urinary system on integumentary system. The integumentary system play an important role in synthesizing vitamin D. However, vitamin D produced is in an inactive form. The activation of inactive vitamin D is by the kidney and liver. Vitamin D helps the higher absorption of calcium, magnesium, and phosphate in intestine. Next, I'm going to explain about the process of production of vitamin D. Firstly, when our skin is exposed to the sunlight, which means when provitamin D in our skin is exposed to the UVB from the sun, it will become activated vitamin D. The activated vitamin D then transported to the liver and kidneys, then modified into calcitriol, which is the most active form of vitamin D. Calcitriol hormone promotes calcium absorption from intestine and thus increasing blood calcium level. You can see the diagram below for a better understanding. For relationship of urinary system on endocrine system, kidney is an important organ that secretes some hormones that is crucial use in our body. The kidney has its own endocrine system, which is called renal endocrine system. The decrement of the oxygen to the kidney and other body parts known as hypoxia stimulate the kidney to produce erythropoietin, EPO. This hormone important in the production of the red blood cell at the target bone marrow. Production of red blood cell will increase the supply of oxygen throughout the body. Next, renal endocrine system also secrete renin. When the blood pressure and blood volume drops, kidneys start secrete renin that activate the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system that will oppose the reduction of blood pressure and increase the blood pressure and blood volume to the normal level.
Effect of urinary system on skeletal system. So, how did the urinary system affect the skeletal system? The skeletal system is important for the locomotion of human body and also provide protections for the organs in our body. Skeletal system needs minerals such as calcium and also phosphorus in order to function properly, and this is where the urinary system acts on the skeletal system by conserving calcium and phosphate needed for bone growth. There are 3 organs that participate in supplying calcium to blood and removing it from blood when necessary. First is the small intestine. Next we have the bone. And lastly is the kidneys, which are critically important in calcium homeostasis. Next is the hormones that control flux of calcium in and out of the blood and extracellular fluid. Maintaining normal blood calcium and phosphorus concentration is managed through the concerted action of 2 hormones, which are the parathyroid hormone and calcitonin. So the first hormone is the parathyroid hormone. This parathyroid hormone serves to increase the blood concentration of calcium. This hormone preserves blood calcium by several major effects. First is by stimulating the production of the biologically active form of vitamin D within the kidney. Vitamin D also acts to increase the blood concentrations of calcium. It is generated through the activity of parathyroid hormone within the kidney. Far and away, the most important effect of vitamin D is to facilitate absorption of calcium from the small intestine. In concert with parathyroid hormone, vitamin D also enhances the flux of calcium out of the bone. Next, the parathyroid hormone also facilitates the mobilization of calcium and phosphate from bone. To prevent detrimental increases in phosphate, parathyroid hormone also has a potent effect on the kidney to eliminate phosphate. And lastly, parathyroid hormone also maximizes the tubular reabsorption of calcium within the kidney. This activity results in minimal loss of calcium in urine. Next, we have the calcitonin. This hormone functions to reduce blood calcium levels. It is secreted in response to hypercalcemia, a condition in which the calcium level in our blood is above normal. This hormone has at least 2 effects. First, it suppresses renal tubular reabsorption of calcium. In other words, calcitonin enhances the excretion of calcium into urine. And secondly, calcitonin inhibits the bone resorption, which will minimize flux of calcium from bone into blood. Next is the effect of urinary system on the muscular system. The muscular system is an organ system consisting of skeletal, smooth and cardiac muscles. It permits movements of the body, maintains posture and circulates blood. The muscular system works together with the skeletal system to provide locomotion and maintain the circulation of blood in the human body. This combination is known as the musculoskeletal system. All muscles need calcium, magnesium, potassium and phosphorus in order to function properly, especially for muscle contraction. And just like how I have explained in the previous subtopic, the urinary system plays an important part in assisting the regulation of calcium and phosphate concentration in our blood. The urinary system also removes waste product of protein metabolism. So, there are 2 important minerals that help the muscular system to function properly. First is the calcium. Calcium in the muscular system is an important mineral that helps to ease the interaction of actin with myosin when the muscle contracts. Potassium, on the other hand, is an important mineral for the muscles because it provides the electric potential gradient that results to the sodium-potassium pump. The electrical gradient is important for the generation of the muscles contraction that will regulate the heartbeat. Other than that, the urinary system also removes waste products of protein metabolism. What are the waste products of protein metabolism? They are ammonia, urea, uric acid, and creatinine. All of these substances are produced from protein metabolism. In many animals, the urine is the main route of excretion for such waste, and in some, the feces is the main route.
Next, we move on to the relationship of urinary system on reproductive system. For males organ, the urinary system are also important for the reproductive system because they share some similar parts in terms of anatomical structure, especially in male reproductive system. The male reproductive system consists of urethra, which is a part of urinary system. In urinary system, the urethra will discharge the urine. But in male reproductive system, the function of urethra in male reproductive system is the pathway to ejaculate semen when sexual intercourse occurs and reach orgasm. In female reproductive system, the urinary system of the mother is a vital system that helps the baby survive in the placenta. How it happened? The fetus will release carbon dioxide and other waste products through umbilical cord, and these waste materials then exchange in the fetal blood vessels to the mother blood vessels to be removed out from the mother's body. The blood containing waste materials is then being transported to the mother kidneys and then will be filtered. The waste material removed from mother's body through urine, through urethra. Relationship of urinary system on respiratory system. As shown the figure below, the kidney also help the respiratory system in regulating the oxygen level in the human body. When a kidney is failed to function, it may cause the acid-base imbalance in human body that will harm. It is because kidneys and lung cooperate in adjusting pH level of the body fluid. The rise of production of acid in blood that is cause of kidney failure known as metabolic acidosis.
Effects of urinary system on circulatory system. In the circulatory system, the kidney helps to control and regulates the long-term blood pressure of the circulatory system. There are three ways for it to regulate the blood pressure, and I will state it in the next slide. Secondly, it excretes the toxin in blood through urination. Where does the toxin come from? Okay, so our small intestine absorbs the toxin that enters the body. The absorbed toxins in the intestine, such as lead and herbicide, is transported into circulatory system. Blood containing toxins will be filtered at the nephron of the kidney, and the toxins will be excreted from the body in the form of urine through urination. So, in this slide, I will explain three ways the kidney regulates the blood pressure in circulatory system. So first, to lower the high blood pressure, the kidney regulates the reduction of blood volume in the body. This regulating process, it will take place when the water reabsorption in kidney is reduced. Next, the kidney also reduces the blood pressure by excreting more sodium. This is in order to reduce the concentration of blood. Lastly, it increases the blood pressure when it drops by producing an enzyme that helps to constrict blood vessels. This, it will take place in the renin-angiotensin system, where the kidney will secrete an enzyme called renin. So, renin It will break up the angiotensinogen protein released by the liver to form angiotensin 1. Angiotensin converting enzyme, ACE, released from the lungs and acts on the angiotensin 1 to produce angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 will act directly on blood vessels, stimulating vasoconstriction. By constricting the blood vessel, it will increase the blood pressure. Okay, now let's move to effects of urinary system to digestive system. First, the kidneys plays an important role in controlling the absorption of nutrients in human digestive system. The uptake of nutrients occurs at the small intestine, but some of them are controlled by the kidney. Next is, kidneys activate the inactive form of vitamin D3 to its active form called calcitriol hormone. This calcitriol hormone, it will increase the calcium absorption in the small intestine. The calcium will be transported to all parts of the body to be used and stored by the bones and muscles. As we know, calcium is very important for healthy bone growth and remodeling of bone. Next, removes the detoxified fat-soluble toxin in the body carried out in digestive system. The liver, which is the accessory organ of digestive system, carry out the detoxification of fat-soluble toxins in the body. This detoxification of toxins produce water-soluble waste that should be removed from the body. This water-soluble waste inside the blood will be filtered at the kidney, and the toxin is excreted and removed from the body in the form of urine, leaving the blood debt free of toxins.
So, let's move to our first topic discussion, the relationship between renal physiological process with the nervous system. So, one of the physiological process that occurs in renal system is to regulate and maintain the normal level of potassium and sodium ions inside our body. So, everyone must be wondering what cell that will initiate the process of this regulation of the potassium and sodium ions. So, the answer is juxtaglomerular cells. So, why this juxtaglomerular cell is very important in the renal physiological process of this regulation of the potassium and sodium ions? So, the answer why this juxtaglomerular cells is very important for this potassium and sodium ions regulation is because these juxtaglomerular cells will secrete the primary hormones that will initiate the RAS system, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. The hormones that is being produced by these cells is renin. The production of renin is being stimulated when beta-1 adrenergic receptor gets stimulated. This condition is when the body taking excessive cocaine. So the second reasons why the renin is being produced is because the decrement in the renal perfusion. That means the blood flow into the kidney is less. Thirdly, this renin is being produced when the sodium chloride level in the macula densa drops. That causes the glomerular filtration rate to drop. Let's move to our next slide, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. So, like what I've said before, the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system is being stimulated when there is the production of the renin. So as we can see here, the angiotensinogen, the inactive form of the angiotensin, will be converted into angiotensin 1 by the renin. Secondly, angiotensin 1 will be converted into the angiotensin 2 by the angiotensin converting enzyme, or called as ACE. This angiotensin 2 will stimulate the adrenal gland to produce the aldosterone. So this aldosterone is very important for the regulation of the sodium and potassium ions inside our body. So what is the importance of the regulation of sodium and potassium ions for the nervous system? So as we can see here, this is the action potential graph of the neurons. So what is the importance of the regulation of the sodium and potassium ion for the neuron cells? So when the neuron get excited by any stimulus and achieve the threshold voltage, this initiate the influx of sodium ions into the cells that causes the depolarization process to occur. The influx of sodium ion is controlled by the sodium gated channel. So when the depolarization process achieves its peak, this stimulates the opening of the potassium gated channel and causes the potassium to rush out from the cells. This action is called repolarization process. Repolarization process is a process where the potassium ion rush out from the cells that causes the membrane potential of the neuron cells become more negative. From this graph, we can conclude that sodium and potassium regulation by the kidney and renal system is very important in order to maintain the optimum function of the neuron cells. So let's move to our next topic discussion, the relationship between renal physiology with the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is very important to maintain the normal fluids level inside the urinary system. How does the fluid regulation inside the renal system occurs? As we know, each cells in our body is surrounded by the interstitial fluid that contains some proteins, some nutrients, and also enzyme and coenzyme. Besides that, interstitial fluid also is the site where the cells release its waste. The lymph vessels that is located within the interstitial fluid will collect it. Once the interstitial fluid enters the lymphatic system, it is no longer being called interstitial fluid, but it is called lymphatic fluid. Lymphatic fluid may contain some nutrients and also cellular waste because it has small openings that allows the nutrients and also the waste to enter through the lymphatic vessels. The lymphatic fluid that is collected inside the kidney will be transported back to the blood system because this process will maintain the normal fluid level inside the kidney to prevent it from damage. One of the most important lymphatic organ inside our body is bone marrow. Bone marrow will produce lymphocytes, which are B lymphocytes and also T lymphocytes. B lymphocytes will leave the bone marrow as a mature cells, but the T lymphocytes will go to the thymus and they will be matured inside the thymus. This B and T lymphocyte will go to the lymph nodes and will help to destroy pathogen when there is the infection occurs within the kidney. These B and T lymphocytes will go to the lymph nodes and help to destroy pathogens if there is any infection occurs at the kidney. This is done when the lymphatic fluid that is collected inside the kidney enters the lymph nodes that contains B and T lymphocytes. Thus, the pathogens will be destroyed within it.
Pathologies that caused by kidney failure. Chronic kidney disease, it can affect almost every part of our body. Chronic kidney disease, CKD, is a condition where the kidney slowly loses its ability to function over time. The potential complications may include fluid retention, which could lead to swelling in your arms and legs, high blood pressure or fluids in your lungs, pulmonary edema. Next is a sudden rise in potassium level in your blood, hyperkalemia, which could impair your heart's ability to function and may be life-threatening. Damage to your central nervous system can cause difficulty concentrating, personality changes, or seizures. Next, it can decrease immune response, which makes you more vulnerable to infection. It can also cause pericarditis, an inflammation of the sac-like membrane that envelops your heart, pericardium. And lastly is the end-stage kidney disease. It can cause irreversible damage to your kidneys, eventually requiring either dialysis or a kidney transplant for survival.
Ways to keep our kidneys healthy, the do's and don'ts. For the first do's, we must always stay hydrated. Regular consistent water intake is healthy for our kidneys. Water helps clear sodium and toxins from our kidneys. Water also helps us to get important nutrients to our kidneys and move waste to our bladder in the form of urine. Secondly, we must eat healthy. Our kidneys process everything we eat or drink, including anything that is bad for us. A healthy diet that's low in sodium, processed meat, and other kidney-damaging food may help reduce the risk of kidney damage. Next, we must always keep fit and exercise regularly. This can help to maintain an ideal body weight, reduce our blood pressure, and the risk of chronic kidney disease, because being too heavy will raise our blood pressure, which is bad for our kidneys. Number 4, we must always check and control our blood sugar level. About half of the people who have diabetes does not know that they have diabetes, and about half of the people who have diabetes will develop kidney damage. Therefore, we need to check our blood sugar level regularly. Lastly, we must check and control our blood pressure. High blood pressure has no significant symptoms, but it can increase the risk of kidney problems. For the don'ts, first, we must never be overhydrated. Excessive water intake could decrease sodium in our blood to dangerously low levels and can cause damage to the kidneys. Next, we should never smoke. Smoking can damage blood vessels, which will decrease the flow of blood into the kidneys. Thirdly, we should never drink alcohol. Alcohol often can dehydrate you, which can keep our kidneys from working well and cause other conditions that put more stress on our kidneys. Next, don't have excessive consumption of sugar and salt. The sodium in salt increases the calcium content in our body that may cause kidney stones. Sugar, on the other hand, will absorb more calcium and magnesium, which leads to kidney stones also. Lastly, we should never overdo certain over-the-counter medications. Over-the-counter medications are medicines sold directly to a consumer without a requirement for a prescription from a healthcare professional. Common drugs such as painkillers can harm the kidneys if taken regularly.
Last but not least, what we can conclude about this topic is the contribution of the urinary system for all body systems. Kidneys regulate volume, composition, and pH of body fluids by removing wastes and excess substance from blood and excreting them in urine. For integumentary system, kidney and skin both contribute to synthesis of calcitriol, the active form of vitamin D. For the skeletal system, kidneys help adjust level of blood, calcium and phosphates needed for the building extracellular bone matrix. For the muscular system, kidneys help adjust level of blood calcium that needed for contraction of muscle. For nervous system, kidneys perform gluconeogenesis, which provides glucose for ATP production in neurons, especially during fasting or even starvation. For respiratory system, kidneys and lungs cooperate in adjusting pH of body fluids. For endocrine system, kidneys participate in synthesis of calcitriol, the active form of vitamin D. Kidneys also release erythropoietin, the hormone that stimulates production of red blood cells. Next, for circulatory system, by increasing or decreasing their reabsorption of water filtered from blood, kidneys help adjust blood volume and blood pressure. For lymphatic system, by increasing or decreasing their reabsorption of water filtered from blood, kidney help adjust volume of interstitial fluid and lymph. Urine flushes microbes out of urethra. Next, for digestive system, kidneys help synthesize calcitriol, the active form of vitamin D, which is needed for absorption of dietary calcium. Last but not least, for reproductive system. In males, portion of urethra that extends through prostate and penis is passageway for semen as well as urine. So that's all from us, doctor. Thank you.